Helping Ukraine is against European countries' interest. That's yet another piece of propaganda spread by the Russians in the EU. Farmers' protests across Europe and blockade on the Poland-Ukraine border. Let's find out the truth. Indeed, from the beginning of 2023, farmers in Poland and other European countries like Romania, France and Germany have been protesting and, at times, blocking their border with Ukraine. The pictures are bright enough for Russian propaganda to pick up. The protesters explain that they are against the EU decision to temporarily relinquish customs tolls for Ukrainian agricultural goods delivered to the EU. The toll waiver initially was meant to be a short-term emergency measure, but with the war going further on, the EU officials decided to keep it. What the Russian propaganda does, they are trying to depict these protests as a general will of the people of Europe who are, so the Russians claim, sick and tired of helping Ukraine, implying this harms their national interests and prevents them from developing their own businesses. This narrative that own national interests are above the rest is successfully manipulated by the Russian state-related resources. The protests in Europe are widely covered on social media using different European languages, namely Polish. Russian Telegram channels claim these protests have been the largest ones over the last decades. They also connect the protests in France to the ones in Poland to heat up the protesting mood in the country. At the same time, there is a good portion of criticism of the German politicians who decided to provide even more military assistance to Ukraine. What we can see happening here is Russia is trying to meddle with the European countries' internal affairs. Thus, Russia pursues its own interest, which is to decrease, if not stop, military assistance to Ukraine and promote sales of their own agricultural production on the global market. In addition, Russia is attacking Ukrainian infrastructure and grain facilities, causing enormous harm to the Ukrainian economy. Thus, the Russians are shifting the focus from their invasion of Ukraine and aggressive behavior on the continent to the problems that indeed are the result of Russia's war. In addition, these protest movements have become very politicized inside Europe and widely used by far-right parties and groups, generously supported by Russia both financially and informationally. This propaganda technique is known as 40 by 60, where 60% of the information suggested to the audience are actual facts. Say there are indeed protests in Europe, and the remaining 40% is pure manipulation based on these facts. So follow the facts and don't let anyone fool you.